one's here yet, but try to watch the chat on my wife's phone so I can use my computer. Still got to get a better setup for this whole like monitoring the stream thing, but you know, I'm still new at this, so we'll figure it out. All right, get the chat open in here. Sounds good. You guys are on the Discord calling me out, but I don't even see you on here. Oh, there we are. What's up, guys? So, alright, so we're working on these SB lows by Mark over here, ME Customs. And I started cutting some stuff so we didn't have to like sit and cut all day. Here, let's switch to screen where we can see both of them. So as we can see, I started cutting this. Usually this stuff, usually you're gonna want to put the leather the opposite way on these mats, because this, or like the rough side of the leather, will screw the mats up real bad. Because it'll get stuck, so it'll take the mat, it'll kill the mat in like a couple of passes. Problem is, some leather is really soft, so this leather is like real soft, and if you put it down on the adhesive side and you like rip it back up, it's gonna like it'll peel off the top layer like paint, so like the green of the olive comes off of it. So actually, like one of the things, obviously, I mean, if you get a Cricut, test your leather before you start cutting on it, or before you start slapping, you know, big 12 by 12 pieces of it on it, because it could mess it up real bad. You know, don't ask me how I know that. But so anyway, we started with well, I guess what I can do here is I'll take these out and I'll start another set to cut, and then as we're doing that, we can talk about like what each piece is, and you know, how they fit together and stuff like that. And then after that, we can start, you know, cutting and skiving and you know, well, putting them together. So I'm going to switch to the top view. And then when getting left ear noise, no right earphone action. Oh, weird. Let me see if I can fix that, bud. I wonder if it's like only picking up in mono. Alright, is that better? Yeah, let me know if that's better. I'm actually on a really good mic. I think, I don't know why it thinks it wants to pick it up in stereo. But hopefully that fixed the problem. Sweet. I'm surprised I didn't notice that on the other, on the last stream, but I guess I only watched it on my phone, so it's like harder to notice. Okay, so switching back over. Interesting. Well, now I fixed it, so I'm not that worried about it. Isn't that supposed to go with no face? Am I tripping? I'm still figuring out this software. That was supposed to be. I think this button was supposed to be with the face. This button without. Yeah, there we go. All right, so the Cricut, it's works pretty good, but sometimes you have to go through and kind of help it finish, especially with the soft leather. It likes to pull the leather around a little bit, but it'll do a lot better of a job than I'm ever gonna do with just a knife. I know a lot of you guys are like super craftsman type. I'm more of a buy a tool that makes it easy type. To each their own, though. Although this one isn't cut very well, so what I'll probably do is replace the blade here before we cut anything else. It's kind of the key to getting this thing to work really well is, well, the couple of keys. One key is replacing the blade as often as you can stomach because they cost a lot. Another key is taping down the sides. The least amount you can, well, I guess it's a similar key. Taping down the sides and taping down the sides and using brand new mats are gonna keep the material from moving too much, and that's what's gonna keep your cuts like really good. So the best cuts you can make are the ones where the material moved the least. So sharp knife, sticky mat, and tape down really well, and use one of these things, these little roller guys, to really get it to stick down, and that you'll have really good cuts all the time. I probably took this knife a little too long, so which is kind of a bummer because you'll get like these bad edges. We can fix those later on. We can go back in and like we can show you. We can cut them sort of the back side of them with a pair of scissors. But for now, I'm not that worried about it. So we're just gonna finish this off, and then we'll replace that blade. Let's see. So I mentioned some more, but carbide blades. Yeah, dude, carbide blades are rad, but get me one that fits in this maker, or get me a drag knife plotter that costs less than $2,000, and I'm down. But yeah, I mean, if you got one that fits in this thing, like, please let me know. In retrospect, I probably would look at different drag knife plotters, like more of a industrial version, just because it would do more size, and that would be cool. I don't know that I have space for that though, so I guess that's not that big of a deal. Man, look at this leather. It's so weird. It like kind of almost peels apart like caramel or something like that. It's really super soft leather. We're gonna have to go back through and cut that stuff. I can show you. Let's see. So this stuff is like super. So two problems. Like I said, I need to replace the stupid blade on this thing, and then also this is like super duper soft leather. So what we'll do later on is, or maybe a little bit right now, is come back in through the backside of this stuff and just cut it off. And it's just not the biggest deal. And eventually that's We'll probably also go back in and skive this anyway, so you know, then most of that stuff will go away. But the key to not having that problem is a real sharp knife, and I screwed that up. Okay. On the plus side, even if you do get a bad cut like this, if you have a real sticky mat and you have your your piece taped down real well, at the very least, it's gonna give you like super good guidelines where my really bad knife skills will still manage to cut this thing out well enough to use. When I try to just draw a line or use even the the patterns to cut against, maybe if I had acrylic, I don't have any acrylic pattern, so I've never tried that before. And that might actually help if I could like run the knife across the side. But even then, I find myself when I use like my big acrylic ruler to be cutting out even these big rough sizes like this 11 by 12 that I cut out for the Cricut. Man, I find myself using this big ruler here and somehow still can't make straight lines because I just suck. So I might as well just let the stupid Cricut do it instead. But as you can see, I'm okay with a knife when a Cricut made these guidelines for me because that's a lot harder to screw up. So those blades you can buy, in the carrier, like inside the big actual contraption that you go in and put in the machine. But unlike some of the other attachments, you can actually replace just the internal blade. Those things cost significantly less than the whole contraption does. So that's always a good option. And if you keep looking, Cricut stuff goes on sale like all the time, and most of the time if you wait long enough, you can get 50, 60, 70% off, and just buy it in bulk when it's time to. Using a scratch awl to trace works well too. Yeah, we're using a scratch awl works really well. Generally for like harder, more veg tan leather like that. So like this leather specifically is like this really super soft, like chrome tan calf that actually is like gorgeous. It feels super subtle or supple. I made a bag out of this for my wife that I really like because it feels supple. But the problem with leather like this is it's really kind of fragile and just a little difficult to work with. But it's fine. We'll clean it up and it'll look good. But you'll see, like once I load the new blade in, we won't have this issue, and it'll just cut these out. The next one will look super clean by itself. What I like to do is basically cut out one whole shoe so I can keep them in order. I think we talked about that a little bit last time about one of the easiest ways to mess your whole shoe up is by mixing up two pieces that look the same, or one that should be on the other shoe and now is on on this shoe or whatever. Seems like a silly thing to mess up, but oh, am I like putting my head over the damn thing? You can't even see what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. What shoes am I making? They're for my wife. These are size 5.5. SB Jordan 1 lows using the ME Customs pattern that should be out soon. And I definitely don't fit in a 5.5, so I guess I gotta give it to my wife. I'm stoked to see everybody joining the Discord and coming on here and everything that's been going on. Everybody seems like super fired up about making shoes, and you know, it's kind of fun to have a part in getting everybody psyched. And I mean, there's people that have bought their sewing machines and people that are, you know, spent, you know, literal days hand stitching stuff and all this. Man, I'm just psyched for everybody. Okay, let's see. What's the best thickness of leather material to use for uppers? So generally you're going to want to use 2 to 3 ounce leather, and that's going to differ. So thickness is an interesting way to put it. I would say between 1.2 and like 1.8 millimeter or so. 1.2 is going to be on the thin side, and 1.8 is going to be on the thick side. Generally in America we call it 2 or 3 ounce, and then the liner will be 1 to 2 ounce. In Europe or you know, internationally or whatever, they generally talk about it in terms of millimeters thickness. I think 1.6 or so is kind of like a cool middle ground. That's probably what this is. We can look. We can measure it. Here, let's see. Oh, this is 1.2. So this is a little thin and a little soft. 1 at some point. Yeah, it's a little thin for typically. Let's see, this here, the black that we're using, is more like 1.4. That sounds about more normal. Feel free to ask questions. I'm kind of like, I feel like last time I talked a whole lot and I didn't work very much, and like if I do that every time, we're never gonna get through any of this stuff. So I'm kind of just gonna work and pay attention to the chat a little bit and just comment on whatever I'm thinking about, whatever work is going on. But if anything, questions about this or questions about anything else shoemaking related, or I don't know, you want advice about your girlfriend or whatever, dude, let's do it. Yeah, it can vary. None of this stuff is an exact science. Basically, it's gonna have its ups and downs. So you could do a super thin. I mean, you can make shoes with anything you want to. You can make shoes out of paper. It's still a shoe. What's the difference, right? So you can go as thin as you want, but then you're gonna have the issues of it's gonna be too floppy and flimsy. So that's why we use things like toe puff and Texon and stuff like that. You can go as thick as you want, but then you're gonna start having issues of running into, or the like not being able to fit into the sole, in between the last and the sole, and then you'll have also issues getting too thick about having a difficult time lasting. So having a difficult time like pulling the thick leather over the fold of the last and not creating a bunch of bad ripples and stuff like that. That's going to be a little easier with a thinner leather. So there's ups and downs to both sides, but obviously, like, I mean, they make boots out of 6mm like massive monster leather, you know. So yeah, you can use whatever you want. This stuff, I wish I had a use for it. I feel like there's all sorts of stuff that like people would do with these kinds of things, but I don't know. I used to save all of it, and now I don't, because I don't know. I'm not as environmentally conscious as I should be, or whatever it is. So if any of you guys want my scraps that won't make shoes but will, I don't know, make whatever the hell you make, let me know and I'll send it to you or something. Hey, there's Mark. SB logo pattern are available. We are official available. So DM him on Instagram. That's ME Customs with a Z. And you can get that thing, or this pattern that we're working on right now. Alright, so I will load up another piece of material, get that thing cutting, and then we'll start looking at the pattern pieces and seeing how they fit together, because I know people wanted to look at that kind of thing. It's like looking all over the place. It's right there. Yeah, I can use scraps as well. I mean, yeah, dude, if you want them, I don't care. Or I'll split them up and send them to you guys. Do I have uppers of shoes? I think I have a pair. Let me see. I think I have a pair of the ones. I got a pair of these if you want these uppers, but they're like 5.5, so I don't know if that's gonna do you any good. But that's the only one I think I have right now. I looked for the SBs that I took apart, and I don't have those. I have the strap, like I kept the mid wings. So in case I ever wanted to make mids, I can make mids. But that's the only thing I have left from those Beavis mids. So whoever asked me about those, sorry, bud. This is all I have left. This thing, on the other hand, whoever wanted that, just hit me up on the Discord and we'll figure it out. I'm trying to think if I have any more that I'm deconning anytime soon. I have one pair that I'm gonna decon. They have olive soles that are, I don't remember, Jordan 1, like olive canvas or something like that. But I think, and maybe I shouldn't even talk about this yet, but after the Corona Dunks, the charity event, the next charity event is, well, I pushed some things out of the way because I feel like it's becoming more and more relevant that I do a it's police brutality, racism related piece, and we try to make a difference there. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is I'm gonna decon those shoes, and they're one of the only pairs I have right now that I don't care about. So that upper I'm actually going to be using to cast some parts of. So I don't know how good a condition those will be in, but once I'm done with that, you can have those. So yeah, just like I said, hit me up on the Discord or on Instagram or whatever, and I'll hook you up. Just remind me because I won't remember off of right now. You know. All right, switching back, we're gonna put. I don't know why that's there. I can just show you guys actually while we're at it. The leather here. So like these are the two that we're using. They're both a calf, and they're both like a chrome tan calf. The black is gonna be, you know, a hair thicker, but you can tell just by moving them around that the black has got more structure to it, and the green is just kind of floppier and more blanket like. This stuff, like I said, this stuff will feel super luxe and nice, but this stuff is also easy to mess up, and like it'll be easy to scuff later on and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is when you get a whole hide, like you don't have to buy whole hides. You can buy off Etsy or whatever. You can buy, what do you call it? Like 12 by 12 pieces that are already cut out in whatever colors and stuff you're using. Problem is with those is you're gonna be basically limited to whatever leather that vendor has, which is kind of, you know, a crapshoot. Some of them are gonna be okay, and some of them are gonna be like not that good. When you buy a whole hide or a side or whatever, only really part of that hide is like super usable if you care about what the grain and stuff like that looks like. So you can kind of even see, well, I don't know if you can see over the webcam, but there's basically parts of the animal where there's a lot of movement in the joints, more or less the animal's armpits. They have this big ugly kind of like really pebbly grain that and like a not a very like good structure to the actual the material itself. So typically you're not going to be using that stuff, and so just keep that in mind when you're buying leather, especially if you're buying it online, that you know you there's a sweet spot and you only get so much of it. So you probably have to buy more than you actually think you do if you care about the grain looking really good. Are all leather pre-cut 12 by 12? Mine are not. So like I said, I buy in bulk. I have over in my big pile of leather over there, I have rolls of this stuff. This one I'm getting to the end of, so you can't really see it, but up in this corner up here in the left is where it'll start getting into one of those armpit areas. All right, here not in the light. So up here in this corner you can see that a little bit that there's like extra creasing, and the grain is starting to get bigger. Down here is like the super sweet spot where it looks kind of like a basketball or something like that, you know, like a real tight grain and uniform and that sort of thing. So I kind of use the real good parts of this hide for those for that bag and those dunks that I made out of this stuff, but you know, I can salvage part of it. So no, I buy mine as usually as like sides or whole cuts, depending on like how much of that leather I need. Some of the specialized stuff I buy in 12 by 12s, like if I only want if I want like a glitter, you know, I have like glitter patent green that I was gonna test out and use for the coronavirus dunks, and I didn't end up using. Stuff like that I'll buy. They cost $8 or something like that for a 12 by 12, or $10 or something. I'm okay with buying that and testing it and then not liking it, as opposed to buying a $150, $250 whole you know, whole hide and not being able to use that. So answer is you can buy You can buy leather like all the way down into like 4x4 squares if you want to. I don't recommend it because you're wasting a lot of money with that markup, but you can do it, you know. Okay. So like I said, typically you want to put this stuff face down unless you got the really soft leather like we have in the green here. Oh, and I guess we got to replace that blade. Like I said, it's just good to have a few of these on deck. When you see them go on sale, just buy a bunch. That's, I mean, they're usually however much they are, and then like I think I got them for $3 or $3.50 or something like that. But now I don't need it, right? Because now I got these carbide stuff from the homeboy over here. Okay, let's see if I can do this without cutting myself on live. Cricut does make things a little easy for you. It's very craft mommy, but craft momish. How about craft momish? It's very craft momish, but in that it's super user friendly. Well, until you're trying to do something advanced shit with it, like making Jordan 1s or whatever. But things like this are kind of nice, where the blade just drops in and screws on, and now you got a fresh, brand new one. Oops. So I've been working on those dunks, the packaging for the Corona dunks. They're so cool. I know it's so lame to say about your own stuff, but man, I'm so stoked on them. Maybe preview this weekend for Discord people or something like that, because I'm pretty stoked. They're looking real good. Well, the shoes are done. The shoes look great, but it's the packaging. So what happened is I was gonna 3D print this big enclosure deal, and so like the idea was I have like this big encasement that was gonna have like these electronic locks and all this stuff like that, and then inside that was gonna be that containment center, and inside that was gonna be these other Easter egg stuff that I told you guys about. But the stupid nozzle of the 3D printer broke off inside the heat block when I was trying to clean it. So that I had to scrap Plan A. We moved to Plan B, and Plan B is coming out really cool. Coming out cooler than Plan A for sure. And the scrapped Plan A I can use, I think, for that the LED or the OLED project. I think that'll be perfect to switch gears for that. So anyway, it's coming out really good. I'm like really excited. Eric, yes, this roller is dope. It costs like $6 on Amazon. I will send you a link if you want to, but it actually makes a big difference. This, my new mat. Remember when I found that link? And they were selling 3 of these mats for $12 or whatever it was, and I think a bunch of us bought like a pile of them. Like, I think I bought like 30 of them or something like that. Whoever was selling that stopped that sale pretty much immediately. That was up for like a day or two. that OLED custom is gonna be crazy. Yeah, man. I have like I have a bunch of ideas for it, but I don't really have like a solid direction. It's more like right now I feel like I have a solution that I'm looking for a problem for. In that, like, I have this cool little toy that I think I know how I'm gonna install in the shoe, but like I haven't really decided how I'm gonna tie it together thematically and how I'm gonna make it like say something other than, hey, look, there's a screen in my shoe, whoa, you know. But I have some ideas. We'll see. I need to cut you a commission check. Who needs to cut me a commission check? Oh, the Cricut people? Nah, man. I only ever tell people about stuff when it's on super sale and they're losing money. They don't want to cut me a commission check. They want the opposite, whatever the opposite is. Well, they want me to pay them money, and I'm not gonna. What I really want to do is I want to find Chinese knockoff replacements for these mats and these blades, but I haven't found that yet. But once I find that, I'm just gonna buy 100 of them or a couple hundred of them, or screw it, I'll buy thousands of them and I'll hook you guys up or whatever. Amazon Cricut shoes. Yeah, exactly, dude. But nah, that's the fun part, man. I'm all about just making these things and hanging out with you guys and trying to help. I can sacrifice an hour of my time a week to help you all figure out how to do this shit and not get paid by Cricut to do it. Although Twitch sent me some notification thing saying like, oh, you're like this step away from being an affiliate or whatever that means, or which I don't know what that is, but I assume that has something to do with that. And I don't know if that happens, and if Twitch ever gives me any money for this, I'll just use it to advertise and get more friends to come and hang out and make shoes with. Alright, I'm gonna switch to the Cricut here. Oh, that is the liner. Alright, so the Cricut software works like most things do, but I've got this stuff set up to where it'll cut, within, you can't go wider than 11 by 11.5. If you do, it'll assume that you are using that long ways and that you want to go like on a 24-inch mat. So rule of thumb is basically thinking an 11.5-inch square. If you can fit within there, you can cut it. You definitely want to leave space in between the pieces. You don't want to like butt them up super duper close to each other, because when you do that, like I said, the key to getting the Cricut to cut well is that the material doesn't move, and when you have them too close to each other, there's not enough material in between them to like maintain the surface area, and so it'll just pull away and get all messed up. So I'm gonna hide that, and we're gonna show the black. We're gonna go ahead and make it, and in this case we want to mirror it because we've already cut the non-mirrored version. So I'm gonna select, once it finds my maker, which sometimes takes forever. Come on, bro. Got people waiting for you. There we go. Select garment leather. I put it in my favorites. It's not going to be in the popular. If you need it, you can go to browse all materials, and I can just show you. Browse all materials. You can find a category for leather, You can find garment leather. It has a setting for thicker stuff. I've never really used it. This one it works fine. Sometimes when you use the wrong one, it'll cut literally through the mat, and that's kind of a bummer. So I just stick to this one. For liner, I use the setting called faux leather. It says faux leather, and in parentheses it says paper thin. That seems to work pretty well. So we're going to switch back to this view, and then hit that button, and it'll go ahead and start cutting for us. Okay. So we still got to cut this piece. But while we wait, we can show you how this stuff all fits together, which I think most people have figured out already, or a lot of people have figured out already. But we've got quarter panels, we've got heel cover, we've got upper eyelets, got lower eyelets, and there'll be a heel tab here as well, and these are going to be our tongue and our vamp. So even when let's see, I missed the cut setting for 3 ounce. Eric, I use, I'll show you, we'll do another cut afterwards, but I use just garment leather. It's the 2 to 3 ounce garment leather. There's two garment leather settings. I use the softer of the two. I could be wrong, but that works for me most of the time. Alright, you know what? Here's what we can do. Get a piece of paper so we can see, and then we'll just construct this thing using the pattern pieces while we cut the rest of these pieces out. I'm not gonna start assembling this stuff because we're gonna need to prep these edges and stuff like that. So maybe next week, or I don't know how much time we got today. We can maybe get some of that in, but you know, if we wanna prep the edges and stuff like that, it'll be good. I just got a silhouette cameo. How does that one work? Have you tried it on leather yet? I know that a couple of people have them. I know that like, for example, there's multiple Cricuts. There's the Cricut like Explore, and then there's the Cricut Air, and then there's this one, the Cricut Maker, and all but this one don't work to cut the leather. So I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. So. Foundation pieces, or let me make some more room here, are going to be these quarter panels, right? So we've got our lateral quarter and on our medial corner. Inside those quarter panels, there's going to be a heel filler. This heel filler is there to make up for the gap in between this heel counter and the upper. And then we have a heel cover, which is around here somewhere. Maybe being obscured by the Cricut. Did I lose a piece? Sheesh. Okay, well maybe I have to print another one of those. I know I'm literally checking the floor right now. Sometimes actually one of the places they get stuck on the bottom of the oh, that's really funny. I just said that. Sometimes they get stuck on the bottom of the Cricut mats because it's static, and here it is, which it was stuck on the bottom of the Cricut mat as I was about to say that that's where sometimes they are. Okay, so lateral quarters, heel filler, filling the gap between the heel counter and the uppers, heel cover, everybody knows what these are. A new sewer's worst enemy. Oh, wrong side. You can tell which side needs to go on which because of the holes in them. Let's see, we got multiple foams. So you're gonna have the collar foam, which is the big thick half-inch foam that's gonna go between the liner and the upper on the top up here. So that stuff is gonna slide in right there, like that-ish. Before I mess all this up, I might as well put this in, which is the heel liner foam, and that stuff is going to connect directly to the liner itself. Do you glue it all together before I sew it? Yes. Okay, let me rephrase that. Yes, I glue it all together, but no, I don't glue it all together at once. So basically at each step when you're making a seam, I glue that seam together, and then I'll sew that seam in whatever step that I'm using, and then for the next one I'll glue the next seam. So it's not like you're gonna sit here and construct the whole deal and then sew it all together afterwards. You're gonna glue each individual seam that you need to make, and then after you make those individual stitches, then you're gonna be able to move on to the next one. Does that make sense? Okay, so assume this liner piece is all the way under here because that's like the actual lining. Then we've got the upper eyelet. We've got the lateral upper eyelet. So anytime you're seeing anything that says lateral, it's going to mean the outside. If you see it say medial, it's going to mean the inside. You've got lateral lower eyelet, which is like one of the iconic parts, right? Yeah, for sure. Good question, guys. Keep those coming. You get the other lower eyelet here, and that's going to be the main assembly. So this here is like one of the first constructions that we're trying to make. Actually, these won't be included, but you'll see as we go, and it would probably be next installment or two. But you know, this is the rear of the structure. So we're gonna build this thing sort of independently, and then once we've built that independently, we've got the tongue liner, or sorry, the what do you call it, mudguard liner. And what we're gonna do with that is we're gonna have mudguard liner. We're gonna have a toe puff. We're gonna have the vamp, which I swear I saw around here somewhere. Oh, that one might have fell on my foot. Oh, well. Here. So we're gonna have the vamp, and then we're gonna have the mudguard. For the tongue, we're gonna have the tongue liner. We're gonna have the tongue foam, and we're gonna have the tongue itself. And that'll generally go under there unless you're making off-whites, which sometimes means it'll go like that. So that's general structure of a Jordan 1 low. That's also how to cut your patterns on a Cricut. You can tell now that we have a sharp knife that they come off real good. So don't do yourself a disservice by using the cheap knife or a used knife and having that when you could have this, because then you're gonna have to go back and fix that, and who wants to do that? Another word of caution: try not to mix up your sides, but if you do, that's also why you have pattern pieces. So if you're ever in question and you don't know for sure, like, is this vamp for one left shoe or for right shoe, you can get out your pattern pieces. Hopefully those are marked which side is up, and you can get it sorted out. But you know, keep an eye on that. That's some important stuff. Okay, got 5 minutes. If there's any other questions or anything for today, let me know, or I can show you guys anything you want, or whatever. And if not, we can move on to next week, and we can do some cool stuff. Are all pieces slightly different from left and right? Yes, Matt. Be very careful with left versus right. So there's little parts of construction of a shoe, or designing a shoe in the first place, that are sort of standards, like you know, the insides and the outsides being different heights, and just things that are mostly about the way your foot is shaped and the way that your bones work, and that sort of thing. So you know, patterns are very are specific, and sometimes they look real similar from left to right, but it could be a millimeter or two off difference, and you won't notice until you put it on, or actually you'll notice when you're lasting it, and it won't, like, align the right way, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Why is this all weird? And then you realize it's like, oh, because this stupid piece is the wrong side, and then they're both screwed. So should you flip everything or some main parts different? I don't know what you mean by that question. What, can you rephrase that question, Matt? Would you say it's one blade per shoe or per sheet you print? Pablo, I would say I would say one blade per. If you're being on the safe side, one blade per shoe. I think I push it out and I can make one blade per shoe and a half or so work, something like that. Two is probably pushing it. Two shoes probably pushing it. When you glue up before sewing each section, Renia, yes. So I use when I glue seams, which we'll do next week. Next week, I'm just gonna cut the rest of this stuff out. Next week we'll start with skiving and construction and just general assembly. So when we're doing that, it's more often than not going to be this Renia aquilum or however you call it. Because this stuff sets up pretty good, but it can be repositioned really well. So when you as opposed to using like the barge or something like that, it's gonna stick forever. So, but yes, this is what I use. I have like gallons of it, and if you're smart, you buy these little bottles off of Amazon for a couple $, and you fill these things, because then you can have control. So it's and we'll, like I said, we'll talk about this more next week, but the keys to gluing stuff are the little applicator bottles and these Japanese blade glue spreader deals that they have on District Leather for $4 or $5, something like that. These are fantastic. Show that bottle, hold it still. Sorry, bud. I'll send you a link, man. Hit me up. Just hit me up in the Discord or whatever, and I'll just find my order and I'll send you a link. Don't worry about it. They come in a pack of like 1,000, so unfortunately I have more than I need. What other bottle? What are I doing with this Halloween dunk uppers? The Halloween dunk uppers I am doing this with. So I figured out these dunk soles that I can see through. And so I think what I'll probably do is print some sort of something to go like inside it, like that or whatever, and then so like the same way that you have the cool printed SB insole, I'll do that with the outsole, and then stick them on top of each other, and it'll be, it's like black and orange and some sort of Halloween pattern. Knowing me, I'll go super kitschy and I'll do like emoji ghosts or some shit like that under there or whatever, but that's kind of what I would do. Use generative engineering on the sole. Yeah, exactly, dude. Is that 3D printed sole? No, that sole is not 3D printed. That sole is actually stolen from the worst dunks of all time, which are Dunk Comfort. They have two cool things about them, which is these soles that are big, like empty spaces that I can do whatever I want with. So more or less what I'll do is I'll print an image, and then I'll like lacquer that so it doesn't get too messed up by the bottom, by stuff coming through the bottom, and then I'll cut a piece of EVA and make a heel pad for it, and then last it, and then should be good. I don't know, I've never tried it, but seems like it would be fine. How do I close the negative space? Yeah, with, like I said, I'll print something, and then I'll put a piece of like lasting board or a piece of, I don't know, make fiberglass or some shit. I don't know what, maybe not that thick or rigid, but you know what I'm saying. Like I'll put a piece of material in there. I'll use some of that scratch resistor maybe, or that Liquid Kicks stuff to like protect it, and then just put an EVA wedge in there and then last right on top of it. I think it should work. I mean, if not, if it doesn't work, worst case, it'll look cool and we get some cool pictures, and then it'll get screwed up later, and we figured it out and we had an experiment. So I'm not that worried about it, you know. Got something for you. Cool. Sounds good, man. I like when people have something for me, especially when it's people with cool carbon fiber toys and stuff like that. Let's see, did I miss anything? Oh, did you mean the Renia bottle that I needed to hold still? I'm sorry, dude. That makes sense. Here, holding still Renia bottle. But also just hit me up on Discord or Instagram or whatever, and I can get you. I'll just give you a link. I think I get this stuff from District, and then I get the barge from My Shoe Supply, or something like that. But this one is from District. Now I get it in like the gallon bucket. Okay, cool. You got it. All right, guys. 9 o'clock. I am gonna go and eat some dinner, and I'm gonna go and finish up these Corona Dunks because I think they're long overdue. And yeah, maybe have a drink. You're right. But you know, so next week I will have the rest of this stuff cut out. I'll clean up those edges, but I won't finish the edges because I think a lot of people want to look at finished edges and how we do the edge painting or the what do you call that stuff? The edge flex or whatever. This stuff. Anyway, we'll do some of that next week and get everything ready, and then play with the Skyver. I actually got here, we can show it really quick. I actually figured out how to do my phone as like a webcam on OBS. So now we can actually like go over there and do pictures of the Skyver, and I can have Tosh be my cameraman. But you know, and then I'll fix that stupid thing, and we can get the next project working on that thing, and we'll finish those damn things, and everything will be great. Yes, I'd like to see how you clean up edges. Yeah, dude, we'll do that next week. I'll clean up most of them, but I'll leave one. I think that's what I'm gonna try to do, is like prep a little bit, and then just have some. Hey, here's this thing that we're gonna do for the week, but I've done most of like, you know, like a cooking show does or something like that, where they have a bunch of it prepped, and then they show you one step, and then they kind of skip to the next part or whatever. I'm gonna do a little bit of that and see if we can get it done. If you want the pattern to make them with Drew, just yeah. Everybody hit up Mark on Instagram, and we will all work on these together and make some cool shoes. And you know, if you're not in the Discord, hit me up, get an invite. If you are in the Discord, you're the best, and you know, post up your cool progress, and shout out to everybody that's been trying to help, and I'll see you guys next week.